This is the Deering Acting Studio Podcast, where we discuss the connection between life and acting.
Alrighty, welcome back everybody to the Deering Acting Studio Podcast. I am Matthew Deering here with the Guardians, Shay Telple, Brian Sweeney, and Joey Sweeney. What's going down, everybody?
Hello.
Not much, just crushing the day.
Did you you married somebody this morning,
did.
right?
I did marry somebody today.
Yeah,
That was so weird. It was so awkward the way
It was awkward the way I said it.
No,
I don't know how
just-
it sounded so awkward. It was like in my brain even awkward, I feel like.
I think it was like a beg for Brian to or for Joey to ask you about marrying. Like you wanted us to ask you, how are you crushing the day?
Maybe that was it.
You know what
Maybe
I mean?
That was
Like
it.
just ask me about my day.
That might be it. That might be it.
I just already married someone, and
So, no big
it's
deal.
only one.
It's only
On
one. I got two
Valentine's
more
Day.
left.
On Valentine's Day.
On Valentine's
I didn't
Yeah,
even
like,
think
that's
about
a big-
that.
Yeah, that was cute.
In their backyard, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you, because Brian officiates weddings, that's kind of like something that he does, like kind of frequently. Like I feel like
Not super frequently.
How many of you
but like
done?
more than
4.
other people. Well,
4
that's-
weddings?
I
Yeah.
feel like that's a lot of weddings.
4 weddings is
this
a
your
good amount of
fourth?
weddings.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so
And-
not a ton. It's only like if I know somebody and like they'll usually ask, and then
Yeah.
I go through a process with them where I just like talk to them ahead of time and kind of do like
Do you
mini
feel
marriage
like-
counseling.
So what's your track record?
Track record, like still married?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like who stays together?
Like 1 in 4. Wait, what's the
1 in 4
three
has
still,
stayed
three,
together.
No, 3 still together.
Oh.
1.
Oh, I was gonna
One
say
not.
that's a
Okay.
losing
Reverse.
record there, bud.
3 and 1. 3 and 1. That's what I
That's
meant.
like bottom of the division.
3 and 1.
But you were 2 and 1. Now you're 3 and 1. But technically, this is like the day of. So.
Yeah, so you know.
yeah. I mean, it's always promising the day of. Like, let's wait a little while.
Hurtful.
when you do these things, like, do you feel like you're performing in some aspect, or like
Kinda.
does your
That's a good question.
does your energy shift? Because I know, like, when I got married, I had this whole vows, right, and people kind of joked with me like, oh, you'll have your vows memorized, and of course I didn't, because I didn't want to be performing when I'm saying my vows. I was just being real and being truthful, and I just wonder, because you kind of have a script as an officiant, like, do you feel like eyes are on you? Like, do you feel like there's some sort of performance aspect there?
There's a performance aspect, but it's kind of like when we go to speak, like there's like a loose script. Like ideally, it's
Right.
kind of loose.
Yeah,
and
but
each
let me
person's
let me jump in here. It's a performance, like 100%.
Yeah.
Because when you're speaking, it is about you. But when you're an officiant, it's really not about you. But
Yeah,
what's
but
funny,
you're the entertainment
yeah,
sort of.
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And people like
Well, that's why I was saying
comment on
it depends on kind of situation. Like this was very small. This
Right.
is like 6
Super
people,
intimate.
like very intimate. It doesn't feel that way. But like when I did like somebody else's that's like bigger group, like a whole audience, you definitely feel that. It's like a whole different deal. So yeah.
which is funny because nobody is really thinking about you at all. Like, it's not about you at all. But at the end of the day, like, I can't tell you how many weddings I've been to where people have commented on the officiant.
Well, I feel the pressure.
being
I
good or
feel the
bad.
like,
Yeah.
I better do this right in the
Yeah.
right order. And oh my gosh, like I feel like it's on me.
Yeah.
100%.
I officiated one wedding in my life.
You did?
Yeah,
He did, yeah, and he crushed it.
but it's
Oh, it was a friend of yours.
Yeah, but
yeah.
Crushed it.
but it's totally a performance.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I wrote it out, and I had the whole thing thought through, and I had a couple of jokes lined in there, and yeah, it's like hard though.
So my dad has been kind of got accidentally into the officiant business, and he had a friend who had asked him, and then once people found out that he was an officiant, we had other very close family members ask him, and he is unfreaking believable as a speaker, but he gets so nervous when he has to officiate weddings just because of the pressure, and it's not something that it was not like something he went into like wanting to do it,
Yeah, right.
but you do it because you get asked by someone who loves you,
It's the same, yeah.
Not
like, hey, I love marrying people. Like,
Yeah.
let me know if you got a wedding.
Well, I mean, not with
I'm
a
here.
losing record.
Here's my business card. That's super funny. Well, I'm glad you've been crushing your day, Brian.
Now, this was a small wedding. Is it a secret wedding? Like, or are we allowed to
elopement?
talk about it?
It's not secret.
I mean,
no.
we've already
Yeah.
talked about it.
But we didn't
it's
talk
not,
about
and it-
specifics.
Oh,
No,
okay,
yeah,
okay,
It
I
was
got
Lance
you.
Brown.
Lance
He's a
Brown,
performer.
who was a Chaos Comedy performer.
He was telling me that yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Love Lance.
He's amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
and he's marrying another goofball who's just like him, just as silly, and can handle his craziness, which
That's
is
cool.
amazing because Lance is like, you never know what Lance is going to do. Like, he's a clown, literally. And so
Right.
he can, like, wherever he's at, you never expect what he's going to do. And Courtney, his now wife, is this very similar.
Yeah,
So.
so Lance is one of those guys where when he walks in the room, you can't help but know that he's in the room.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, he brings this
100%.
ball of energy, and he's very giving too. I think that comes from his profession, but he's like he wants you to feel good. He's not trying to get attention, but he does get attention by trying to like make everybody in the room feel good. And so yeah, this ball of energy. So she's just as energetic.
Energy wise, I'm not as energetic, but she's as weird and silly and quirky, and she can keep up, I guess is
Nice.
the best way to put it. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, I'm very excited for Mr. Lance Brown, and way to go, Bri. Way to marry some more people off, dude.
Thanks.
4 marriages under your belt.
So I just need to tell everybody that I'm not being rude and texting. I'm trying to talk my sweet mom how to figure out how to watch us on Facebook.
Oh, she wants to be on the live.
she
She
Oh,
can't-
that's
can't,
cool.
she
live.
can't figure it out.
It's down. So.
Oh, it's not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, no wonder.
Internet is not being kind to us right now.
Okay. Tell
So-
your
That'll
tell
do
your
it.
mom.
I will tell my sweet mom that she
can
just
relax.
she said I'm listening on podcasts. Is this live? And I said yes on Facebook. She goes, not sure this is the one. Leanne just came in, and I was like, Mom, it's not.
Yeah.
We
She's
appreciate
probably
you,
listening
Shelley.
to the one last.
Yeah.
Leanne just showed up.
Hey, but at least you know, our podcasts are being listened to, so that's wonderful.
Hey.
So I just got back in town late last night. How was the studio for a week without the old MD?
It was great.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was really, really, really good. Yeah. I mean, just totally blew expectations out of the water. Like, there's a little bit of fear that came with, like, you leaving and not having you there as a safety crutch in, like, an emergency situation. And so the fact that we were able to just, like, come together, overcome that, and make it seem like there was nothing that was different than the week before was pretty cool.
Well, not only that, but I threw a couple curveballs at y'all.
Oh, yeah.
One of which, so we know we had this big national casting for a SAG job.
Woo!
And then the callback was while I was gone, and then all of a sudden we get this other casting, and I was sucked into the old Disney vortex there. So I was with it enough to land the casting, but not with it enough apparently to tell you guys about it.
I mean, it's not like you told us the day of. It was the day before.
Right. And
So-
and
Right.
to my defense, I only knew about it
Right.
maybe 8 hours before that. But still, I did forget actually completely until I got a text message from Shay being like, "Hey, so
Pretty
is there
sure
like a casting?"
we got a group text, like all of us, like, hey, this is casting is happening, and you were like,
Yeah.
ooh.
Yeah, well, about that. So and
Business.
and we got great reviews from
Yeah.
from both castings. So well done, team. Well done. And I want to say well done to the agents locally and well done to the actors locally as well, because I've been super impressed with how the agents have been jumping on things and the amount of work they do for their talent. It goes, you know, like it doesn't. They don't always land the gigs, you know, and they put so much effort in for their talent to show up and to be there and to communicate. It's really hard. I mean, Shay can talk into this more than I can. But-
We have such a great relationship with the local agents here, and they're what's so cool is they're always down to, because if I'm in it, they're in it too. So me and the agents are constantly communicating, whether it be via email or phone or text or whatever, and this is through the night, ladies and gentlemen. So this is, you know, can be at midnight when I'm texting a local agent like, hey, did Sam Smith get in or whatever. Like there's all these different things, and they are so down to do that with me on, you know, and I always make a joke because it never fails that we get a casting at about 4 p.m. on a Friday every time. And, you know, and you expect that it's going to be harder to communicate and all that stuff. And the agents are are there and they're down, you know, and even one is like, hey, I'm grabbing lunch for my mom, you know, let me email you in a second, or hey, I'm at the grocery store, let me pull over in the bean aisle so I can get this done. And they do that. And that's what's so cool is just they're so down for their talent and they're so down for us.
And some of them there's such a quick turnaround too. Like this this one, Matt gave it to us and then
at noon on Monday.
Right, and then it was on Tuesday was the casting itself,
At
and
8
on
a.m.
Wednesday was the callback.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was just like nonstop. I
Yep.
mean, it's crazy.
Well, Shay talks about this. It's very much a game of hurry up and wait.
100%.
Yeah. So
Well, and that's our industry in general, is hurry up
Yeah.
and wait. And I think that when you deal with that mentality, it's cool because you're training yourself on all areas of life. It's this idea of this willingness to say yes,
yeah.
right? Like when something comes up, I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to go all in as hard as it takes till I get through it, knowing that yeah, we'll take a break on the other side, but really, I just going to say yes. That's what I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, I heard some stress. I felt some stress in your voice, Shay.
Yeah.
But you were calm, and you just said, I think your words were something like, well, we're just going to do it. And I was like, are you okay? And you're like, well, we're just going to do it.
Let's just figure it out.
And I love that. I mean, it's so great to just have that mentality and say, okay, I don't know how, but we're going to do it. We're going to find a way.
Well, and I think a huge part of that is having each other too.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because I mean, we felt that too with you gone. Like it was so amazing to have each other to really build the other person up, and you're really great about that. You're doing that constantly. So not having you here, we were forced to do it more than even we're used to. So like you'd notice Shay would get stressed and we would come relieve her stress. I would be stressful in the morning, like right at the beginning, trying to think of something, and Joey would come grab me and relieve my stress. Like we would just like
You're probably worried
rotating.
about your next marriage ceremony.
Yeah.
100%. I was
Yeah.
thinking about marriage
He's
all
thinking
the time.
about it and was like, how am I going to build up my marriage business?
I mean,
like,
between
really?
that and funerals, he's just.
I'm
booked.
blowing
Yeah,
up.
he's
Blowing
just-
up. I'm just trying to get some more good photo.
We need to get you some bar
shots of
mitzvahs,
myself.
man.
Right, yeah.
Oh,
bar
that's
mitzvahs
a-
would be great.
That's
yeah.
a really good one.
L'chaim,
Yeah.
my friend. L'chaim.
Oh, that was great.
Thank you.
No, but he's right, and it really does take a village, and I think that's what people it's a very common misconception with casting, is that they think there's this team of people, and yes, there is, but there's also 8 other teams that are part of the same project that are involved, and
Well, I think it's even less. Like people think it's just one person.
Yeah.
exactly.
They think
right,
there's
you're
the
right.
casting director and then that's it, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
really, at least that's not the way we do it. I mean, maybe it's the way
Right.
other
Yeah.
places do it, but for us, we have a team. We each have a position, and we execute. And the whole idea is, it doesn't matter who takes what position. What matters is that client is happy, that the talent have an experience at our place, that our clients have an experience if they come here for the callback. And we want it to be special. We want everyone to be special, and that's hard to do because each one is unique,
Yeah.
and you have to treat it like it's its own thing.
Yeah. I think it's really cool, like, to see actors come in for multiple different castings, like, within a couple of weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Because
yeah.
they
days.
get super hyped, and then it's like I literally just saw you yesterday for
Yeah.
like a different casting, and you're back in it today. Like, you're back on your grind. You're auditioning just like we're working the
Well,
back
and what's
end,
hard
you
for
know?
them is the same as what's hard for us. So if you think about today, it's probably a little harder for you guys to get motivated, to be actively into like the work and the grind and whatnot, because you're not forced to, right? So think about for an actor, when they're in the grind of the auditioning, it's like, yeah, I got 2 in a row. I got 3 days in a row of castings where I get to go and audition. Well, what are you doing on that next day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you should be auditioning for yourself at your house, scheduling something in to better yourself in some way. That way, if you're doing that every day, when the audition comes, you're totally prepared for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's interesting that you say that. I just had a student call me the other day, and I was stuck in traffic on the 10. And
Oh, good. You were answering.
Yeah, I
on
was
the 10?
about
Yeah,
to
I
say,
was,
didn't
I
you
was.
just say on the last podcast
Yeah,
that
I
you,
did.
you don't answer
but I
your
needed
phone?
I had
Yeah,
made it
I'm
a
just
priority to
gonna-
call her, and I was in back-to-back traffic. I was like, all right, let me stick on the Bluetooth. And we talked, and it was so interesting because she asked me, she had already made the decision to do something about an audition. And then she said, what would you give me advice for to do next time. And I thought it was so cool because it was like she had made the decision, was happy with the decision, sent in whatever she needed to send in, and then I was like, okay, so this is the stress that I was going through dealing with this certain circumstance. What can I do better next time? And I told her about the recent experience I had with a voiceover audition that I did, and it was so funny because I sent in the audition, and we came in here to do a podcast. And Matt said, okay, let me hear it. And we went over it. And he said, okay, good. Now let's talk about what you could have done better on that take. And it was like kind of funny because you're going, I just sent it in. I can't. But what was awesome is it didn't matter what the audition script was. It didn't matter what it was. But I got to go back through it and we did find something that would have made it better. And it wasn't like, oh man, I should have done that. It was, oh, how great that I can take what, because I made the decision to send in what I had. And then how can we make it better for next time so I can take whatever script and evolve it and whatever. So it's just always, it goes back to that, okay, you've got these great couple days, you've got these great auditions, you turned in that great paper, now what are you going to do on the fourth day when you don't have anything to do, when you're not forced?
Well, and I talked about this to the teen class specifically. I was like, you don't understand how lucky you are to have all the technology you have. Like, literally, you can do self-tapes on your phone. A ring light isn't that expensive if you really want a nice light, and you just get a little tripod. You should be filming stuff every single day, like every single day. That wasn't an option 10 years ago. It wasn't even an option. And now it's like you can literally do, like the newer phones, it's like the picture's crazy good, like insanely good. And you could just learn how to do that and be pumping them out continuously.
And it's really not even technically about the videos.
No.
Like you could put up a piece of cardboard that's shaped like a phone or a
Sure,
camera
yeah.
and hit the imaginary record button. And if you're doing it every day, it's really the process that's making you better.
Yeah.
It's not even the video quality.
Yeah, you're right. 100%.
So, as I said, I was in Disney World.
Disney World.
And it's pretty great there. Happiest place on earth, so they say. This is a crazy stat. They put in these new people movers. It's called a Skyline. It's basically like a ski lift.
Oh, okay.
You can get on and off. And in 6 months, since they've opened this thing, they have moved 7 billion people. Billion with a B. 7 billion people in 6 months.
That's crazy.
That's how many people are on the earth, and they have moved that many people. I mean, of course, some people multiple times,
Yeah.
but they've moved people 7 billion times.
It's still insane.
It's insane.
Insane.
How
In
do they
6
even
months.
tally that?
I watch them click every time someone gets on. Click, click, click. I mean, you think about it. A business like that, they are in the business of moving people. That's really what they're in the business of. So as the more people they can get inside and keep occupied and entertained and moving from one thing to the next, the more money they can make. I mean, that's really what it's all about. So yeah, so the analytics on that thing is huge for them. They want to know how many people can I get from one park to the other, or from one resort to the park, or whatever.
That's nuts.
Nuts.
Like crazy.
7 billion people.
And it hasn't been open that long, that one, right? You said like 6 months. Like,
6 months.
That's just like, where's it going to be in another, like, I can't even.
14
Probably
billion.
14
Yeah, probably.
in another 6 months.
If
I
they're
guess if
doing
you
their
exactly-
stuff right, I mean, you never want to go down.
That's
so,
Or
true.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even connect all the parks yet. That's the
Oh,
other
wow.
Oh my goodness.
thing. Yeah, so I mean
Is it like a tram? Or do
No.
you get in a ski lift?
you get in like a ski
Oh,
lift thing,
wow,
but
you
it's nice.
FaceTimed me when you were in it. Yeah.
And
I
then
remember.
And then I'll tell you guys one story about the way home. So our baby was sick most of the time, and it was. I don't think that's the right sound effect, but we'll
sad.
take it. Yeah, I know.
I was sad for Finn.
Yeah.
So so he was sad and he was sick. He was sick
he
and
was
sad.
sick and sad.
He was probably
Sick and
sad as well.
Sometimes angry.
Yeah.
And we were on the phone with the doctor over and over and over again, and it's like, hey, there's nothing we can do. We just kind of keep doing what we're doing, and he's got a fever off and on. Well, anyway, we're on the way home, and, the plane is just, and his fever had been kind of down earlier, and all of a sudden it spiked back up on the plane. And my wife God bless her soul, is just starts having panicky, attacky, and she's like, "Why didn't we take him into the ER?" And she's like, wanting to do all these things in her mind, and I was like, "Babe,
while you're flying."
While we're flying, I go, "Babe, we got to calm down." So we take him back, and all of a sudden we're icing his body in the back, and we're like, doing all these crazy things. And the cool story I want to tell you is what happened, because the stewardess was like, "Would you like medical attention?" And I just said, "Yeah." Like, why not? I'm not going to be the guy that says no.
Yeah.
If it's possible. So she gets on the intercom thing and says,
Is
if there's
anybody-
anybody, blah, 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 any doctors, nurses, whatever. So what was so amazing was within like 5 seconds, there was probably 8 or 12 people back in the back with us. And everyone's going, and they're all like touching Finn's feet and they're doing all these things. And then finally we get like this one lady comes through, and she's younger and actually, but she bulldozes everybody else. And she's like, excuse me. She's like, "I'm a physician. I work at Phoenix Children's Hospital." And she just took over the case. It was amazing. So we basically got like a free private consultation from one of the smartest people on the planet. I know you've had some experience there, Joey, in the past. And she just comes in and calms Leanne down, was her main job.
Yeah.
But, rest assured that we were fine, that Finn was going to be okay. We could wait for the doctor's appointment today and everything. But she was so great. Like, she came in, tested him for different things. She could feel his pulse, and she explained everything really well to Leanne, why she wasn't upset and why she thought the baby was fine. But it was like, it was one of those human kindness moments, those commercials, human kindness.
Hello, human kindness.
Like, I saw that happen, and I was like, wow, like, this is humanity. Like, this is the good part of what people can do and what they're capable of. And people were just nicer from then on. It was also interesting. This guy sitting next to me he'd be the last guy I would have ever chosen to sit by. So it's like Leanne, me, and then this other guy. And so I'm in the middle, and this guy just like takes up all the space this. Like, he just spreads out. He's got all this like hand sanitizer with him. He's wearing a mask, and I've got a sick kid.
Yeah.
And he's like, doing all these things. He's got his own food, and he's like splashing me with stuff, and I'm like, this stinks, right? And not talking to me, and just keeping his elbow like in my space, and not moving it. And then he would grab like a grape and eat the grape and put his arm back in my space, like over and over and over again. And I'm going, so I kind of wiggle my way in there a little bit, but at the same time, I'm just going, all right, zen out, man, zen out. Well, turns out, I come back and I'm just like, dude, kill this guy with kindness. So I do, and I'm like, hey, this is great, this woman, and he's like, oh, that's neat. And then I look at his shirt, it says NASA. And I was like, "You work for NASA?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm an engineer. I work for NASA." And I'm going, and I just said to him, I was like, "Wow, we just got helped by one of the smartest people on the planet, and we're sitting next to one of the other smartest people on the planet. And he's a weird dude. Like, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's all right. If the plane goes down, I'm glad he's on my plane.
Yeah.
And I'd rather be nice to him than mean.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, he's got his own thing going on. Why don't I just respect that and not be weird about it?
Yeah. Especially on an airplane. I think those are the best airports. I think in an airplane are the best place to be when you can people watch. And like, I understand why people have fear of planes, but what's interesting to me is when you're up there for however many hours, like, you just have you and your family or whoever you're with, and then all these people you don't know sitting right next to you who you don't know, and you have this tiny little second to get a little bit of information. Like, and how cool is it that you had all these cool minds on the same airplane?
Totally.
Like,
and we don't even know who else was on there. And this guy could have been a NASA fan, but it turns out he works for NASA.
Yeah.
And I had so many questions after that, but he just put his headphones right back on, like, immediately.
He was not.
Like, he asked this question on the way in, because I thought he was kidding. He looked at the baby, and he said she, by the way. He was like, so is she gonna cry the whole time? And I was like, well, it's a he, first of all. And I was like, probably. He's sick. And he goes, oh, I'll get my earplugs. Like, he was not sympathetic.
Whoa.
It was all just like, like very standard procedure for him.
Well, it's funny because everybody's mind works a little differently, and it's really easy I used to do this. I would just straight up shut down anybody who wasn't the same, like, kind of mindset as I am, like the silly, or like empathetic, loving, whatever.
Yep.
And I forget that there's
Awesome,
other people's
handsome, good looking.
No, but
They officiate.
Anyone's not
No, I
exactly
just
like
mean,
me.
like, outgoing,
wonderful,
like-
and
like no
stupendous.
fingers.
all right, that's not what I mean.
No,
fantastical.
Like dress
Like-
shirt.
magical.
I
Like-minded.
mean, like the
like-minded.
energy, like I don't know, like
wonderfulness.
yeah, you're killing me.
like dress shirts.
Outgoing,
Big
outgoing,
smile, full of
Poor
joy,
Brian.
buddy.
outgoing.
All right,
Matt's,
go ahead,
Matt's
sorry.
back, everybody.
The people who are internal and like just
Right.
because their brains operate at different levels and like this, like the engineers, they don't operate that way. They don't act that way. And so I'd just be like, well, that's not like, you must just be boring or you must like whatever. And I'd write people off, like honestly. And you helped me through this with the kids class. Like there are certain kids too whose brains are that way, who just like think differently. And
Yeah,
are
and what's
different.
cool about the kids class, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but the kids turn into adults are the same people. You can see the same types.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, oh, you're going to be this kind of person. Like,
Yeah.
I can already see you as the adult over here. It's interesting.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But they all have their own backstories, right? Is that what you're going to say?
Yeah, 100%. Like everybody's got their own thing that's led them to who they are, and if you can remember that like you don't know what theirs is, and you can just love them anyway, then it's gonna be okay.
Then you find a way to tap in.
Yes.
Because if you can tap in the way that works with them, you finally get to their center, which is also love.
Yeah.
It's just a different way in.
Yeah.
Cool. I love that, Brad guy.
Can
Thanks.
I really want to bring this up because it was something that like hit my heart, and we were talking about commercials.
Something
and,
hit your heart on Valentine's?
Yes.
Was
yes.
it Jake with an arrow?
So, oh my gosh, he's so great. I got home to
So Shay
2
brings in
dozen.
these Valentine's things for all of us, and
I
of course
did.
I'm like, great, I didn't do anything for anybody. And Leanne and I, we looked at each other because I was in a cold shower with Finn this morning, and I woke up at 4, and he was awake and throwing up, and it was like he had a bloody nose, and we're like,
oh my gosh.
And we just looked at each other, and she's like, Happy Valentine's Day. And I was like, you too, babe. And she's like, can we just take a knee this year? And we'll just go out to dinner next week when there's no crowds. And I'm
Yep.
like, babe, you were speaking my language. We have had so many crowds in the last week. Okay, sorry.
No, and that's what's interesting about Valentine's
Oh,
Day.
I'm sorry, but this is what I was going to ask you. So because of that, I was actually curious. Is there a lot of pressure on Jake for Valentine's? Because you apparently love Valentine's.
I love Valentine's Day. And I was talking to my mother about this morning because there was a couple years ago where I was the most ungrateful B word. And we were in college. Bird. Yeah. I was an ungrateful bird.
Ungrateful
And
bird.
I was in college, and Jake didn't do anything that day. And I was so upset for some stupid reason, and I was crying in my car on the way to his dorm room. Mind you, we had no money. And on the way to his dorm room, and I was sobbing. And a guy next to me on University in Tempe rolls down his window, and he goes, "Are you okay?" And I was like, yeah, I'm totally fine, you know. And I get to his dorm, whatever, and
And
I
the guy's
just,
like, Happy Valentine's Day.
yeah, I just made the biggest fit over it. And it's one moment in our relationship. I mean, I'm sure there's many where I was wrong. I often am, but that I was so wrong and so rude. And so ever since then, because Brian brought it up yesterday, he goes, "You buy gifts for Jake for Valentine's Day?" And I said, "Yeah, I do." And I always go overboard because I love this day to celebrate how good he is to me and how much he does for our family. And it's unbelievable the amount of love and things that he does for me.
What did he do for you this year? I'm curious
I don't know.
now.
I don't know. But I did get home last night to 2 dozen long stem roses.
Okay, so there's a lot of pressure on Jake.
There's a
Let's
lot
just-
of pressure on Jake. Cool.
Whether you realize it or
But-
not,
I
there's a
felt
lot
when
of
she
pressure.
said that to me though, I was like, wait a sec, like you're getting him things.
Yeah. Yeah,
I didn't know that was
love
a thing.
I
Like-
love the opportunity to, like last year I decorated our whole house, right? And I love the opportunity to just give to him as much as I can and make it a big deal and get because you guys know I hate buying cards because they're so expensive. And I love buying the $9 Hallmark card that he's going to read and throw away. Like, it's just a beautiful day. And then today was such a cool day because I went to go I had so many errands to run. I had so much stuff to do this morning. And I go to this one place and this guy gives me a flower. And he goes, "Happy Valentine's Day. Just want to let you know." Gives it to me. I see the UPS guy outside. So I run and grab my flower.
I want to
from the
clarify
car.
this for Jake if he's listening. the guy was giving flowers to
To
all
everybody,
the
to
girls
everybody.
who buy
Yes.
food from Chop Shop.
Yeah.
He wasn't like, "Hey, you're
Here's
cute.
a flower.
Hey, you."
Yeah. No,
this was
no,
like
babe.
something the business was doing, Jake. So
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And
So
so
you're
the UPS guy comes
You're
in, Jeff, who we finally figured out his name, with the blonde mohawk. The
Oh
younger
yeah,
guy.
because he
we've
came
had
in
to
the
earn
cast.
that
Yeah.
relationship with Jeff. We
yeah,
really had to
yeah.
earn that.
Because he
was a tough nut to crack.
totally a tough cookie. And I said, "Here you go," and I gave him a flower, and he said. He was so taken aback, and I said, you can keep that, or you can gift it to somebody who needs it today." And he goes, "Cool." He goes, "Are you single this Valentine's Day?" And I said, "No, I'm not. I have a husband." That's exactly what I said. And he goes, "Oh, cool." He said, "I was just asking because I've been giving roses to all my my nice women single clients today." And no, but it was so innocent. You guys, this guy
Why don't you
can't.
give it to the old married women? I don't know what's going on.
This guy
I
can't
give
be
it
more
to
than like
all
18.
the single women.
Oh, the
But it
single
was
ladies
so
on my route.
cute.
Every single girl
Yeah,
that's out
what-
there
No,
gets a
it was
rose.
cute.
I'm
People-
just
people
I'm
are
just
just in
curious
good
what
moods.
your response was to that.
I
If
said,
you-
"Oh, that's so nice. I hope some lady takes that rose and you have a Valentine's Day date tonight."
Yeah,
That
that,
is
there
so
was.
And he
Cute.
said, "Me too." And then we ended that conversation.
I'll
Well,
tell you,
that-
it was cool. Sorry, I'm sorry.
I was
just have to
gonna
say-
wrap it. Go ahead.
Okay, you can wrap it. I just want to say for him, it
Okay,
was cool to
let's
watch
wrap
him
the-
get clapped. he came in and the casting was happening and everybody
yeah.
clapped for him.
Yeah, all the
like
actors.
all the actors. So that's all I wanted to say. But it
Oh,
was
that's
cool
amazing.
to watch that happen. So
And it was
Cool.
cool because I think he realized, okay, it's not just us.
yeah, it's like this
Like
is a
it's
thing.
a real thing that we do, and he just eats
And it's
it
not
up.
just him. Actually, I think people they like it better when they realize it's not just them.
Oh, exactly.
When they realize it's who we are and that we're not doing it for you. Because if they feel like we're doing it for them, they feel this sense of pressure.
Pressure.
It's like getting a Valentine's Day card on Valentine's. You didn't give anything to anybody else.
See, but
Yeah.
okay, I
See,
want to
but,
I
like,
want
we
to touch
shouldn't
on
make
that.
I didn't
people
get
feel
one, though,
bad
so that's
about
good.
No, I'm not
gifts
feeling
they
bad.
get
I'm
it.
just saying at this point in time, I feel a little bit of pressure for either this year or next year.
No,
To make
no,
sure I remember Shay. 'Cause
No,
I don't.
and I want to touch on that.
At least you got one. That's really nice.
I
You
want to
didn't get
touch
one?
on that. I haven't
Oh.
given them yet, so
Jeez
freaking hold on.
Louise, Brian.
But I want to touch on that
Wow.
before we wrap because it's
Wow.
not about that.
I know it
That's
isn't.
the thing.
I know, but it's
And
hard.
and I know you think that, and I know, and I went in this morning and I had to go to Walgreens to get a prescription and a card for my husband, and I thought, you know what would be so cool? I should let the boys know how much they're loved and that they're my Valentines too.
I mean, was there any guilt because I got you a bear last year? Is that is that where this?
and who ended up with the bear?
Brian, probably.
That's a good question.
I think
don't,
I have a bear.
I
Somewhere.
thought you. Oh no, you bought yourself.
Do you have a bear?
bought
I
yourself
bought
a bear.
myself
Joey
one,
bought
and
himself
I
a
bought
bear.
you
And
one.
he
Which
bought
is
me one.
Where was my
hilarious.
bear?
What? You didn't get one.
I wanted a
You
bear.
didn't get a bear.
I just
Well,
remember
he's the
coming home
bear.
and going,
You
"Who
did
got you
it.
that bear?" And he was like, "He
Me?
did just a big pause." He was like, "I did."
Can I please end the podcast?
Yes.
All right. We'd like to give everyone a big bear hug here on Valentine's
Oh
Day.
wow, that was just.
That is the end of our podcast. Thank you for listening. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy
February
Valentine's Day.
2020.
And have a deering day.